What prompted this warning is a growing number of complaints that we've received from consumers about merchants setting minimum amounts or adding extra charges when customers want to pay by card. Under the Visa and MasterCard rules, which are the card associations, merchants are required to accept card payments without imposing minimum spend limits or additional fees. This is also supported by the Namibia Payment System Management Act, which is set out how payment services must operate within the country.
Now, when a business accepts payment or card payments, what are they legally required to do in terms of transaction amounts?
When a business chooses to accept payments, they are required to accept all transaction amounts, including very small value purchases. They must treat card payments in the same way they treat cash, without imposing minimum spend limits, extra charges, or forcing customers to buy additional items to reach a so-called minimum. Namibia's regulatory framework is very clear that electronic payment methods must be offered on a fair and non-discriminatory basis.
And why is it considered illegal for merchants to refuse card payments for small amounts?
It is illegal because it violates the Visa and MasterCard scheme rules that merchants agree to when they sign up to accept the card payments. These rules require merchants to accept transactions of any value and not discriminate based on the amount being paid. Once merchant signs that agreement, they are bound by those rules.
And how do these practices affect consumer trust in Namibia's national payment system?
Okay, these practices undermine consumer confidence. If people are unsure whether their card will be accepted, they must avoid electronic payments altogether. That discourages cashless transaction, and that can erode trust in the fairness, inclusivity, and reliability of the Namibian payment system. If left unchecked, it can also weaken confidence in how Visa and MasterCard rules are enforced locally.
Now, the Payments Association of Namibia gave examples like cafes refusing card payments that are below, let's say, $50 Namibian. How widespread is this problem across the country?
From Ben's perspective, the problem is quite widespread. While we don't yet have nationwide statistics, we have received complaints from across the country. These practices are common in some areas on the outskirts of towns, but they are also reported in city cafes and businesses. Because complaints keep coming in, PAN issued a formal nationwide notice to warn merchants and acquiring banks and to inform the public of their rights.
And what penalties or consequences can businesses face if they continue with these prohibited practices?
While the public notice does not list specific penalties, enforcement happens through banks and card schemes and regulators. Repeat offenders can face penalties determined by these bodies, including sanctions from acquiring banks or the card schemes themselves. So, for example, if a merchant continues violating this with this offense, a bank can actually just go remove their speed point machine from them and maybe bar them from ever using their speed points ever again.
And in terms of reporting and awareness, how can consumers report businesses that are violating these card payment regulations?
The consumers can report such businesses to Payments Association of Namibia and to the merchant sponsoring or acquiring bank. Serious cases will be escalated to the Bank of Namibia, which will guide final decisions on enforcement and penalties. And furthermore, Bank of Namibia also has a consumer protection anonymous tip on their website, which anybody part of the public can go on and leave their complaint there as well.